What if I told you that you are exactly where you need to be? Even if sometimes it feels like you're falling behind or you can't seem to figure out what is keeping you in the same position in your life, just like calendar goes off of seasons throughout the year, you personally have your own set of seasons in life. Once you can figure out what season of life you're in, it becomes so much easier to navigate through those seasons because sometimes they're going to look very different. Some seasons are harder, some seasons are more reflective. And I kind of created my own 4-season guide for myself so that I know which season I'm in and how I can basically move forward in my life depending on what season I'm already in. If you feel like life is constantly shifting and you're trying to keep up, maybe one day you're feeling unstoppable, to suddenly feeling like you're questioning everything and life is just like this one crazy roller coaster. The roller coaster of emotions is never random. It is all part of your growth and it all has everything to do with what season of life that you're moving through. You know how every year we go through the same seasons? We have winter, spring, summer, and fall, and then it just repeats every year. Well, that's basically how I like to think of it for our own personal lives. We go through these same phases of life in different seasons, but they look slightly different depending on where we're at and how much we've grown. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 4 seasons of life that we all go through, from feeling stuck to feeling like you're thriving. Once you know what season you're in, you know how to reflect, how to respond, and how to basically not feel guilty or ashamed of certain seasons that look very different from one another because they all play a part in the bigger vision of your life. Season 1, I call this the foundation era. If I could relate this to a calendar year season, I would call this the winter season. I just want to make it clear that these seasons don't have to follow the traditional calendar years. Winter doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in the foundation era. You could be in the foundation era in spring or summer. So I just want to make that clear. Think of it as the kind of working in silence era, the winter arc mode. This is when you're quietly leveling up. You're building the habits, you're working out, you're focused, really focused on personal growth and self-improvement in this era. And I often feel like one of the things about this season is you feel like sometimes you're stuck. But I want to remind you, if you're in this season, you may not see the results yet, but you're putting in the work. This is the inner work, and this is where you really do build the discipline that you need to move forward in the future seasons. So this can also look like cutting out distractions, setting new boundaries, making a new life plan, like rebuilding your life. The time where you're maybe like re-strategizing, rethinking what you've been doing and seeing if it still aligns with you. You're creating structure and you're taking slower actions, but more powerful moves. So how you want to embrace this is by sticking to a routine and being consistent. You will need a lot of trust in this season because again, it's going to feel like nothing's happening because it's more slow but powerful moves, but you just kind of have to trust the process in this season. Trust me, it will pay off. Kind of reminds me of like the phase that I'm currently in because I'm really focused in my winter arc mode, going to the gym, sticking to my Pilates routine, eating super healthy, being disciplined behind the scenes, and just kind of like leveling up my life behind the scenes, you know, focused on my YouTube channel, focused on being consistent with my content, getting my business restructured, realigning with my vision and my goals about, okay, what kind of content do I want to move forward in this year? What is the messaging that I want to have for myself? What kind of mindset do I need at this very moment? So it's a lot of that, like reorganizing, restructuring, and staying focused. And I thought I'd give a quote for each season to hopefully inspire you in some way if it resonates with you. So the quote for this season is going to be, "Rest is not idleness. And to lie sometimes on the grass under the trees on a summer day, listening to the murmur of water or watching the clouds float across the sky is by no means a waste of time." John Lubbock. And a little personal story, you know, the foundation era for me could sometimes feel confusing because I'm so used to like thriving out in the open and like sharing everything and, you know, just being more like outward with my goals and everything. But there are periods of times every year where I feel like I naturally just become more introverted, and this is kind of like the foundation era. I also thought it'd be helpful to recommend a book if you're looking for a book that is relative to each season. So for this season of the foundation era, I would recommend Atomic Habits. This is an amazing book that's going to help you build a discipline, learn about habit stacking, and how to basically hack your mind to get things done in a way that feels more effortless and less challenging. This book helped me get my routine down and just think of things differently in a way where I built discipline. Season 2 is the awakening era. I like to relate this era to spring. It's growth, it's a fresh start, it's like coming out of that like winter arc mode. The emotion I like to describe for this season is more of excited, hopeful, and stepping into like a new exciting energy. So in this phase, you're more than likely like healing or recovering from some sort of like heartbreak, a tough time, a tough challenge. Maybe you're leveling up your mindset in a new way, or you're starting a new habit. Think small changes that are starting to finally add up. You're starting to see the progress from the foundation era come through. This is the perfect time to experiment a little bit more because you have that more like flowy, lighthearted energy where you can start testing new ideas, trying new things, taking new risks, kind of like planting new seeds. Things are going to start clicking. Like you're going to kind of start connecting the dots with certain ideas as you've been reflecting in the foundation era, kind of shifting the energy where it's taking you from one to another with small actions, kind of building that momentum. So in this era, I would recommend being open to change, taking baby steps of action, and just kind of like testing the waters with things. You're entering your glow up era here, so embrace the fresh new start. The quote I wanted to give for this season is, "The magic in new beginnings is truly the most powerful of them all," by Josiah Martin. Another one is, "Growth is the only evidence of life," John Henry Newman. Love that quote so much. Let's say I've been reflecting on content, right? Like for me, this is personal because that's what I reflect on a lot. But I think about a lot of the times my content and messaging, like I want to always be as authentic as possible with the things that I share and not feel like I trap myself into a box because it worked in the past. I'm very much open to testing new things, trying new things. Lately, I've been experimenting with different kinds of vlogs, content on YouTube, and that really pushes me out of my comfort zone. But it feels like that momentum is starting to move forward because I spent a lot of time thinking about ideas, listening to my intuition, and just like taking notes, journaling without taking a lot of action in the foundation era. And now in this season, I would start to feel like, okay, let me just try this idea. I'm starting to feel inspired again. I've kind of like recharged my soul in a way, and I'm open to trying new things. A book that I want to recommend if you're in this era is Big Magic. I love this book. This is one of the books that really opened up my mind to manifesting and just being super creative and allowing my intuition to kind of lead me in my creativity. It's a book about embracing creativity, pushing through fear, unlocking new potential, perfect for this era of growth and fresh starts. Another good book is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's really full of motivational advice. This book encourages you to like take risks and believe in your potential, embrace a new era of growth. Okay, season 3 is the radiance era. I call this summer. I mean, it kind of feels like summer just in the name itself. This is your thriving and main character energy. The emotion here is confident, energized, and super magnetic. In this phase, I feel like everything is falling into place, whether that's with your career, in your relationships, your self-worth, like you're feeling more confident. I relate to this heavily because I went through this whole cycle last year, and I remember stepping forward into this era where I'm like, okay, I started going to brand events, I started manifesting dream collaborations, I started making content that I felt really playful with and had a lot of ideas flowing to me all the time. This was like your main character vibe, your main character era. So take advantage of this energy here if you feel super inspired to create, do things, have fun, and you're like seeing things come to life. This is the most amazing season to be in. This is the season where you kind of feel like you're in an emotional high, right? You feel aligned, you feel very like content with where you are and that it's exactly where you need to be. Your social life, your career, your creativity, everything is kind of like thriving and flowing really effortlessly here. And your hard work is paying off. Like you're seeing the results. Like there's no better feeling than seeing things come to fruition that you've spent a lot of time reflecting on and putting a lot of intention behind. We love summer, right? The feeling of summer is like you're excited, you're inspired, you just feel really playful, and you're having the best time of your life. In this era, my advice is say yes to opportunities more, express yourself as fully as possible, live out loud, celebrate your wins. This is your thriving era and everything is finally paying off. So live that moment, live it out, celebrate it out loud. A quote I wanted to give you for this season is, when you shine, you give others the permission to shine too. Another one is, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. I love this era. I mean, I think this is obviously the era where we feel the most content because you're seeing results, you're seeing the manifestations happen. And it's not to say that the other seasons were not important. Like, this season is just where it shows the most. So it's a lot easier to embrace this season than it is the other ones because there's less friction, there's less conflict. It's just, wow, life is amazing. It's a high. So this is probably the easiest season to be in. A book, if you are even interested in reading a book in this era, that I wanted to recommend is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This is like a spiritual classic. It offers simple principles to live by. It helps you create life with peace, love, and personal empowerment. Another book here is Unfuck Yourself. This book is going to help you get out of your head and get into living your life. It's like a no-nonsense kind of guide to living your best life and getting rid of all that negative self-talk and basically just stepping into your power. Okay, season 4, the evolution era. Think of this as fall, right? Autumn. This is like your letting go and your releasing era. I would like to describe the emotion here as being heavily nostalgic. You're reflective, maybe a little even unsure. Even if you don't know it, you are evolving. So in this phase, you're likely like outgrowing relationships, outgrowing friendships. Maybe you're changing life paths or you're feeling called to a new path. Basically feeling like the urge for something new. And it feels a little shaky and uncertain at times. I love this season. It is, yes, probably a more uncomfortable season to be in, but the beauty in this era is that you're learning how to let go, which is such a huge contributor to your growth, right? You can't grow unless you learn to let go. Letting go is probably one of the hardest things to make peace with, like letting go of friendships, relationships, things that no longer serve you, even letting go of old identities, old beliefs, old mindset, old habits, all of that. Just letting go. This could even be letting go of physical things like moving space or letting go of physical items that no longer serve a purpose in your life. It's kind of like killing off an old version of you, and that can feel very bittersweet, a little bit heavy and confusing at times. In this era, you need to know that you're outgrowing people and you're shedding layers, which you have to do in order to keep growing and evolving in life. Lean into the uncertainty and just trust that it's all for a reason and it's all for a purpose, and just learn to let go of old energy. The beauty is that for every relationship and friendship that you lose, you're making space for a new one. I know it's hard to be excited about that because in our minds, we think like everything that we have is the best that we can have. But once you let go and you eventually come across those new beautiful relationships and friendships or opportunities, it really makes sense where you're like, wow, I really did have to leave that situation in order to make room for this one. It's hard because you can't see it looking ahead, right? But you can only connect the dots looking back. So you just kind of really have to trust the process here. Not everything or everyone is meant to come with you to your next chapter. This was a hard truth for me. Not everything or everyone can come with you to the next chapter of life, and that's just what it is. A quote I wanted to give you for this season is, letting go doesn't mean you don't care about someone anymore. It's just realizing that the only person you really have control over is yourself, by Deborah Repper. Another amazing quote for this season is, sometimes you have to let go to see if there was anything worth holding on to. Oof, that's such a good one. I can relate to this heavily on so many levels, but I will just say one of the things that sticks out to me the most is when I was focused on music, when I first moved to LA, like my whole life revolved around becoming an artist, like living, breathing, being in the studio like 24/7, writing, doing everything, like performing even. And like in my intuition, I knew that this probably wasn't the path for me because it always felt super anxious driven. Like, I don't know, it just never really felt aligned and I couldn't make sense of it at the time. I remember always feeling so conflicted because I had two passions that really took up most of my life. It was music and makeup. I just knew that I had to let go of one of them. And it's not even like I couldn't do both, because till this day I do both. Like, I still write songs and I am living my life as a, you know, makeup artist and creator and all this. But it was the fact that internally I needed to make a decision of what I wanted to move forward with so I can let go of the old. And I remember that phase being so uncomfortable for me when I would not sleep. I would literally just cry sometimes and be confused because I felt like this urge to make a decision to let go of something. At the time, you know, COVID happened. It was kind of like it pushed me in the direction to actually let go of the music side because things just weren't working out. Like, all my shows got canceled. Any opportunity that I had to collaborate with something or someone, it just kind of like fell through. And just the more and more that those signs were happening, the more I knew I had to let go of this part of my life. And it was really unsettling, but I knew it had to be done. I had no idea that I was going to become a full-time creator or like launch my own business in any way, but I just knew that I had to trust the process. And I remember how it felt like an ego death, that I was killing off an old identity because everyone that I knew, once I finally let go and decided in my mind, okay, I'm not going to focus on music as a career and I can always come back to it and it will always be a part of me, but I just need to I need to try something different right now. As soon as I decided that, it was like a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders, and it was like my soul was coming alive again. Like, I don't even know how to describe it other than that. It was a very intense, dramatic feeling. To someone watching this or listening to this, they might think like that sounds ridiculous because it's like you're just simply trying something else. But no, it's like your identity gets so intertwined with what you do for a living, your career. And if you're someone like me who's really passionate about everything that you do, like it almost feels like you're a failure because you're learning to let go of a past identity. You're learning to like move through a new life change. Everything that I ever identified with as a music artist was now gonna just poof, be gone. That's what it felt like in my mind. Then I started just like having fun and posting content, and you know, it eventually led me to even greater things in my life, like launching my own business, working with dream brands, and just like living out a side of me that I could have never imagined being possible if I didn't just let go of that old identity. I am so grateful that I did that because now I feel more authentic than I've ever been my entire life. I speak my truth, I create intentionally, I just like feel so in tune with my life, and being able to have these relationships with you guys on my channel and speak from the heart. I never have felt so confident in my life, which is crazy to me because even with singing, I would be on stage and performing, and I would perform for like thousands of people sometimes at like festivals or whatever, and I never felt confident, always anxiety, scared, didn't feel aligned with my truth. You never know what great things are waiting for you. You just have to let go of what you think is the best outcome of your life, because we don't know what is better for us. We just have to trust the process and let go along the way. A book that I want to recommend if you're in this season and you're looking for a book is The Power of Now. This is a guide to embracing the present moment and releasing past attachments. It's kind of like a spiritual book in a way. I really love this book. And then another book too is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is by Mark Manson. This book is amazing. It is basically going to help you accept that life isn't always about being happy or perfect. It's about choosing what's worth caring about and releasing what's not. I think this is a great book. Any of these books are great if you're going through this type of transition. Okay, so in the end, those are the 4 seasons, and I would love to know what season you think you're in. Comment down below and let me know. I'm so curious to see where you're at. Every season serves a purpose. Every season, especially the ones that are most uncomfortable. Those are the ones where you build character, you build strength, stories, you build skills. Honestly, you can't have the good without the bad, and you can't have the bad without the good. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.